Welcome.
Welcome.
Oh,
Okay,
we got regular one, not singing one.
Well, no, I'm gonna keep that.
Okay.
I'll delete it if you want me to. Should we keep it or should we just keep going? Right. Like this is the beginning of the video.
Yeah,
right
this
here?
is it. Let's start it off.
That was the most disorganized, worst intro I've ever been a part of or I've ever witnessed.
Sorry.
We're a disgrace to YouTube, really.
But yeah, it works.
Cue the intro. That's where I'll play the little. I'll play the little thing, right?
Yeah.
I'll keep that in.
And now the real thing. Okay.
Now the intro. Dude, I'm so lost. I didn't take notes when I read the chapter. It's chapter 12, right?
13.
We read 13 and 14 is okay.
Yeah.
And remind me. So it's basically just the priest talking to Matt, right? The whole time?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
So I do remember
the video. That's a short one.
I do remember. Let me get my bearing. I do remember there was one part I really liked, and it was when he was describing how the concept of evil has changed in the church.
Yeah. Well, that's actually I wanted to talk about that because I really like that part too.
Okay.
All right. So chapter 13.
Chapter 13.
Yeah. So this one's a short one. Pretty short.
It was quite short.
Basically, yeah. Matt's in the hospital.
Yes.
And Father Callahan, the priest, comes in to talk to him because he wanted him to come up there and he had things to tell him. He's got books all over his room about vampires, like you name it, from old vampire stories to vampires scantily clad in magazines and stuff like that.
I thought that was so funny. So like a couple chapters ago or whatever, they decided Matt, since he's sick, he's gonna be doing research, and he's got all the, like, every book the library has that has anything to do with vampires. And I thought it was so funny is like, why do you have vampirella, however you pronounce that. So please, I hope I'm not the only one. I Googled it just to see if that was a real thing. And it totally is. And she's like, it's like an incredibly, I don't know, depending on your perspective, but like super scantily clad, like it's described in the book, like very inappropriately dressed vampire woman. And I guess she comes from a planet. She's a comic book character, I guess. She comes from a planet where blood flows in rivers, and all the people just live off of the blood in the rivers.
Oh,
and
okay.
That's all I know.
So she's an alien vampire.
Apparently, yeah. So to me, it was like he's got Dracula, and he's got these real life stories of people who have like killed other people and drunk their blood and all this stuff. You know, it's like real life vampires. And then he has like this weird, like, super sexualized comic book female alien
just
vampire.
In case, just to be prepared in case that happened to be an option.
Yeah, like just in case. So
that's super funny.
I thought that was sort of funny. It was interesting. They mentioned, now I don't remember the name, but there was like a real life vampire not vampire, but like a guy.
Oh yeah.
He tried to kill some of his friends when he was little. He did kill some of his friends.
Yeah, he killed some of his friends.
And then he threatened to kill the parents of the girl that he liked because she like wouldn't go on a walk with him. So he would send like threatening messages to her parents and stuff. And then it turned out later in life he killed like a bunch of women and drank their blood, and he would kill animals and drink their blood. Like that was crazy. That was super creepy. That was an interesting, scary thing.
Right. And I wonder, like, if he was reading those sorts of things to be like, oh, well, maybe people are just saying this was a crazy guy, but it could have actually been a vampire because we know that they exist now. So, yeah, that made sense. And the vampirella was more light reading when he was too depressed by the the other vampire stories.
Right. What else? They also mentioned. I'm trying to think. There was another vampire thing they mentioned, wasn't there? One of the stories. I'm sorry. I'm super scatterbrained right now. I think I'm just hyper to see you, Jordan. I'm just excited to see you.
I know, dude. We're off our schedule.
Badly.
But no one knows. No one knows that because we keep pumping out these videos.
But we don't. I haven't uploaded. I suck. I haven't even finished uploading the last one we recorded. Like I haven't even edited. I've just been so busy with school. It's really crazy with work.
Well, yeah. No, that's not a problem, dude.
I'll get it. People later on won't know. They'll just be like, oh, there's another video. There's the next video. It'll be there.
That's who we're making these for. For the young kids that maybe aren't even born yet.
Future generation.
See this in 20 years and be so hyped about everything. They'll have hundreds of videos to go through.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because I honestly I like to put stuff on YouTube. It's fun. I don't find a lot of time for it, but it's fun. But sometimes I think anybody who does anything creative they have to sort of ask themselves like, why am I doing like does anybody really care? And I've just convinced myself like this channel is for my kids to watch someday when they're older, and I don't care if anybody else sees it. Like if I die and my kid's a teenager and they want to know what I'm like they'll just watch my channel and they'll be like, wow, Dad was a real goof. Like Dad was kind of an idiot, but he liked books and music.
Right. And for us, I think it's
fun. That's true.
Yeah.
That's definitely true. I have a blast doing these videos with you. But yeah, so Father Callahan, he comes in and I think Matt requested him to come, right?
Yeah. He requested him to come because he wanted to tell him about these vampires.
Right. And Father Callahan comes in thinking that it's the sort of thing where he makes hospital visits pretty often and it's always like these people want to confess or they I don't know, they just want to talk to somebody who can give them hope or whatever. And he talks about how typically people, they fall into like a sort of depression if they're in the hospital. And so he's kind of getting ready for that. But then Matt is like very not depressed and very like just normal. And it almost kind of, I don't know, it's sort of, Father Callahan is a little bit taken aback, like what's going on here? Like there's got to be something wrong. Why did he call me? Because Matt is like not even religious. I think he calls himself agnostic or he might be atheist. I'm not sure.
Yeah, agnostic.
So yeah, he's like, why am I here? So then Matt tells him the whole vampire thing.
Well, I thought it was interesting. So when he comes into the room and he's like, we have that backstory of he goes to the hospital because people at the end of their lives want to confess all these things. But he goes into the room and he sees all this all the literature everywhere, and he thinks that maybe Matt's a little bit crazy.
And yeah.
Then it goes into the backstory of how like people with diseases, he sees that like their body's kind of fighting against them. Like it's the person and then the body, and it was describing them as like two separate things. Like they're working against each other, which I thought maybe is foreshadowing to what it's like to become a vampire. Like it's more of a disease sort of thing, like something that just kind of eats away at you, like how you're trying to fight the vampire disease inside you to get it away. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
I really like that. Maybe that is foreshadowing. I don't know. I feel like when I'm reading, I appreciate the extra, like the descriptions of things, but a lot of times, like earlier in the book when it was describing the weather and it was changing to fall and stuff, I kind of just like blasted through that. And I find I was sort of the same thing with Father Callahan, like all these things that he was sort of thinking, this background information that he has as a religious person. I was kind of like, yeah. Let's go on with the story, you know? Right. But I like that you sort of think maybe that could be foreshadowing, and like maybe it could. I don't know. To me, it's
I think it's
boring.
The book just says it. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like it's good writing. To me, it's just a little bit on the boring side. I'm always looking for like action or something, you know.
Right.
But yeah, no, you're right. That could be a thing. I don't know.
Well, I think it's super smartly written in that way, where it's just supposed to be like kind of backstory, but if maybe you look at it deeper, then it can mean something more specific.
Kind of tricks you into.
Yeah, I love that how Stephen King writes like that, just because like it's not necessarily pertinent to the story, but if you dig deeper, then well, maybe it is, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and he's done that before. That's true.
Yeah, yeah.
I like that. So then Matt, he basically tells him the whole vampire thing, and like he's really concerned that Father Callahan is going to think he's crazy. And Father Callahan is like surprisingly willing to listen to everything. Well, not surprisingly, I shouldn't say, but like he's really unfazed by it. He seems just like, okay, like, and then Matt's like, you think I'm crazy? And he's like, well, not exactly. Like he just kind of takes anything you throw at him. I thought it was kind of an interesting character. He almost like didn't react to it at all.
Right.
But then when Matt asks him to like help them out in this fight against the vampires, he's kind of like, hold on. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to have to be like a true representative of the church, and I can't be getting involved in things that are going to be bad for the church kind of thing. And like, I kind of appreciated that also of his character. He's taken it seriously. He kind of has his doubts still, and he's hoping that Matt is wrong, but he's taking it legitimately seriously. And he's telling him like, if I'm going to be, because he asks him to take the host and some holy water and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if I'm going to do that, then that means I'm operating as an official representative of the church. So, like, it's got to be serious stuff. But I thought that was kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well, so he talks about, I know you were wanting to talk about, like, how he brought up Freud and stuff, that sort of.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of this chapter. Just
yeah.
Because as a religious person, I'm a very religious person. And I've heard people say that, like, oh, like, the devil is just something that people made up to make other people behave. It's just something that the church made up so people would behave, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely like understand that perspective. But I felt like Stephen King was making almost the same point, but in such a better way. Like it was so what's the word? It was just really well explained. It was very articulate, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He talks about how like in the Middle Ages, in the old days of the church, evil was demons and witches and these spirits and stuff and vampires and werewolves. And now, since Freud, since the invention of the electric light and stuff, people have realized that evil is really just like bad things humans do. That like evil is us and our bad decisions kind of thing. So they've almost kind of gotten rid of the devil. And he talks about how like people in modern times, like that's a very common belief that like the devil isn't really real, God isn't really real. It's just like the bad things or the good things that you do as a person. But then kind of reflecting back on several chapters ago when we first met Father Callahan, he says like he hates that. Like he wants to fight real evil. He wants to like fight a demon. He wants to fight a witch. He wants to fight a vampire. And he doesn't like all this like nuance of like, oh, well, you beat your wife, but you also like donated to the church. So like you're kind of bad, but you're kind of good. Like, you know, he wants to like really get into the fight, like what sort of the romanticized version of the church of like casting out demons and stuff like that, you know? And I thought that was just like, first of all, it was just a great explanation of like the modern perspective of religion and evil and all that stuff. And then it was also just fun. I think it's foreshadowing because I'm sure he's going to get a chance to fight a demon, to fight a vampire. So that's cool too.
Right. I thoroughly enjoyed that whole thing just because, so it brings up like a huge conflict for Father Callahan.
Yeah.
I think just because, so I was looking more into like the Freudianism. I think that's how you describe that.
I think it's Freudianizerism. I don't know.
Well, the abbreviated version is Freudism.
Okay.
So yeah, that belief is that there's kind of a little bit of evil in everybody, and that the devil was made up to kind of scare people into doing right. And so the Catholic Church at the time was was saying, well, no, evil is the devil. So, and like you were saying, Father Callahan wants to fight something more huge, more monstrous, other than just like these small little things. So I feel like if the vampires are real, then that means that there's small evils in a lot of different people, which is acknowledging that Freud was more correct. But if it's not, then he's
if vampires are real?
Yeah, if vampires are real, then that means that it's not just the devil that's the sole thing of evil. Like, there's individual people now that have evil within them, sort of thing. But that's what Father Callahan wants to fight, is something that you can visually see as a monster.
Yeah.
But
something that's like non-ambiguous. It's like, this is definitely pure evil and it's okay to destroy it, kind of thing.
Right. But they're individual people, so if he acknowledges that vampires are real, then he's agreeing with Freud and not the Catholic Church. But if he doesn't, then he doesn't fulfill that desire of conquering something evil.
I think that's really funny, because I didn't really think about it that way, but if I had, I would have interpreted it the exact opposite way. Because I would have thought that if vampires are real, that shows that there is true pure evil, because vampires are like evil creatures that you could say are like spawned from the devil or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that if they're not real, that would show that, like, well, all the evil in the world is actually just coming from people and not monsters. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I would have thought of it the exact opposite way. I'm really interested to see what Father Callahan says about this stuff later on. Because I'm sure we're gonna get a lot. I've noticed in his chapters, whenever he's a viewpoint character, we get a lot of like his inner musings, because he's sort of a loner, right? He's not married. He doesn't have anybody to like bounce ideas or just talk to. So a lot of what's going on with him is just him thinking. So yeah, maybe, I mean, I'm sure we'll get a lot more of his perspective as we go on. So I'm really interested to see what is said about that.
Yeah, it's something curious to think about. I don't know.
Either way, I think you're right. It is a big conflict for him, because it's like, if what he wants is real, then the church is wrong. But if he wants is not real, then like the church, but like it's still there. Like, I don't know, it's like either way, he's got to sort of give something up to gain something else. I don't know. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so he's going to be fighting like an inner turmoil as well as an external battle. It's going to be crazy.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is actually pretty much the whole chapter. We don't even know what Matt asked him to do. He was just like, "Will you help us?" And then Father Callahan, he did agree to it. But the last little detail. He agreed to it, but he said, first, we have to all go, you, me, Matt, Dr. Cody, we're all going to go to the furniture store, the antique store, and we're going to confront Straker.
Oh, that's right.
Like, in the daylight. We're going to ask him this. And then, like, if he, like, laughs in our faces and none of it's true, then we won't proceed or whatever. But, like, if we see how he reacts and it seems like he's hiding something, then we'll proceed. So we don't know what they're going to do other than go talk to Straker. But
I think that's gonna be
Straker may or may not be dead, because Mark
true.
Petrie brained him pretty good with the leg of the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a couple other questions. Do tell,
good sir.
So do you think that what's the vampire? It's not Straker, but
Barlow?
Barlow. Yeah. Do you think he's like an original vampire? Like the start one? Because they can be so old. Do you think it's just passed down?
Okay, so like, did someone else make him a vampire, or was he like the first vampire or something? Well, I've been hiding this. I've been trying not to let it influence me, but I did, when I was doing a little bit of, not research, but like just looking things up, I did come upon a snippet of something. I don't know if I want me to tell you. It's not like a huge spoiler. And it doesn't answer your question, but it does give us a clue. Apparently, Barlow is, he claims to be older than Christianity. So he's like super old.
Huh.
I guess he's like now I can't even remember what the terminology was. I guess there's different tiers. He's like sounds weird. It's like a level 4. Is that what it said it was? I can't remember.
A black belt?
Yeah, it's like
Black
a
belt
Jedi.
vampire?
He's a Jedi vampire. I can't remember, but I think he is. I think he's one of the. I don't know about originality, but I think he's at least like he's a very, I guess power wise, he's extremely high level.
Okay.
Like that sounds so weird. Like yeah, he's like a black belt. He's a black belt vampire. That sounds super nerdy to say it that way, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna say yes. Yes, I'm gonna say yes. He was created directly from the devil.
Yeah, I'm just curious because like why Salem's Lot and why now is it just all coming, like it seems like in such a short period of time we see I think it's like 7 vampires already.
Yeah.
So if he's so old and this is so modern day, why is this all happening now, or shouldn't like vampires already be out in the open?
Like why aren't there more stories at least of like vampires, and how come the whole half the world isn't vampires by now if it spread so fast?
Yeah, unless like he is an original vampire, then maybe he's just hidden in the shadows for so long and he's coming out now.
That was the other thing I was going to mention. I forgot it earlier, and now I remember. Father Callahan mentions a friend of his who is serving as a priest in England, and he encountered a similar situation where like a girl supposedly came back from he attended a burial and they buried the girl like covered in garlic and rosemary and stuff, and it turns out that like they said she died because she was being visited by an incubus, like a sexual vampire. Have you ever heard of an incubus before? Not
before this, no.
I remember as a kid I used to listen to the band Incubus.
Oh yeah. There is sexual vampire.
Yeah. And then in the movie School of Rock, they mentioned Incubus once, and I was like, wait, is that a real thing? I thought it was just a made up word. And I Googled it, and yeah, it's like a vampire that like I guess it has sex with you, but it also like I don't know. An incubus is a male and a succubus is a female. They're like a sexual vampire. They're weird. I don't know.
Wow. You learn something of value new every day, don't you?
Yeah. That's why I love reading. Even though we're reading fiction, we're learning things about the real world. We're learning about things that people believe. Well, I shouldn't say the real world, but like we're learning about things that people actually believe in the real world. So yeah, Father Callahan's friend encountered a girl that supposedly died from a vampire. And there were like a few other occurrences in that little town, but then he didn't really tell us what happened with it. So I don't know if that could have been a result of Barlow or maybe not. I don't know. I'm guessing so. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm going to say yes. I think Barlow is an original vampire, and all the other vampire madness in the world can be traced back to him.
That's pretty crazy.
I'm just going to throw that out there.
All right. I guess we'll see what happens then. See if that's true.
I'm curious to see how we, like, I'm just hoping Barlow is a talker. Like when they finally get him, like if they get him cornered, I really want to learn, like I just hope he explains like, I started here and I did this and I did that. Like I really want to figure out, I hope he doesn't leave us in the dark. Like, oh yeah, I'm a great vampire. He starts
talking so much that you get annoyed by him. You're like, shut this guy up.
Like I'm just hoping they get some legit answers out of him before they kill him,
Yeah.
That would suck. I don't know. Or maybe they won't even kill him. Maybe he'll get away. Maybe they'll all just turn into vampires and the whole world will die.
Well, that was the other thing. So we know at the beginning of the book that they all leave the town. Is it because that everybody's just vampires there, or did they kill all the vampires and there's no more vampires? That would be interesting to find out as well.
The people who left the town, were they vampires or were they running from the vampires?
Story just keeps getting crazier, man.
It is funny. Like I've said in the past, Stephen King is deceptively simple. Like it's a pretty straightforward story, but then when you really start to talk about it, it's like this was a crazy short chapter and we've already been talking like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like there's a lot to it, really, when you unpack it all. And he's a great writer. I've been really loving reading
No,
his stuff.
I have to. It's been good.
Do you have any other questions or insights or thoughts?
No, that was it. That's all. That's all. The whole kit and caboodle.
Let's end this one because our videos are always so long.
Okay.
I feel kind of bad about it.
Done.
And like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, guys.
Okay, very fast. Okay, before he ends the video.
Or don't. I don't want to. You know, becoming too popular is really a burden. You know, I don't want to be. Like, I wouldn't want to fall into that sort of like fallacy of like, you know, make my whole life revolve around it. I wouldn't.
Right, because then you have to become like a philanthropist and stuff. Start getting away
become
money
like
your time.
You never have time. You don't have any personal space anymore. People just approach you on the street asking for autographs. It's like, get away from me, man. I'm with my family.
You have to volunteer at the soup kitchen all the time.
Just to keep up a good public image.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't want to deal with that. I'd rather just
I like
selfish.
watching like 6 or 7 episodes of Netflix at a time. You can't do that when you're famous.
I'd rather just be a selfish nobody. Yeah. Nobody knows who I am. I can just do stuff for myself and no one will criticize me.
Perfect. That's so poetic.
Poetic. All right. So bye, folks. Hope you enjoy these videos.